In that sense, the version I wrote in the beginning and the final version here are very different in feeling and tone. Still, my fundamental stance and way of thinking have hardly changed at all. It almost makes me feel like I've been saying the same things from the time I debuted down to today. When I read what I said over 30 years ago, I'm surprised, thinking, wow, it's almost exactly what I'm saying now. So, I think what's collected here are things I've been writing and saying over and over, though the form may have gradually changed over time. Many readers might think, hey, haven't I read that somewhere before? And if you're one of them, I ask your indulgence. Another motivation for publishing these records of undelivered speeches was a desire to systematically gather all the things I've said in different places. I'd be pleased if readers would take these as a comprehensive look at the present time of my views on writing novels. The first half of this book was serialized in the magazine Monkey Business. Motoyuki Shibata started this new magazine in 2008, which was to be a new type of more intimate literary journal, and asked me if I'd write something for it. I agreed, and gave him a short story, one I'd just happened to have finished. And a thought occurred to me, and I told him, I have these personal speeches I've written. If you have space, could you serialize them? That's how the first 6 chapters came to be serialized in each monthly issue of Monkey Business. An easy task, since all I had to do was turn over for every issue something I already had lying dormant in my drawer. In all, there are 11 chapters. The first 6, as I've said, serialized in the magazine. The last 5 written especially for this book. I imagine this book will be taken as autobiographical essays, but they weren't originally written with that in mind. What I was after was to write in a most concrete and practical way about the path I've followed as a novelist, and the ideas and thoughts I've had in the process. That said, writing novels is nothing less than expressing yourself. So talking about the process of writing means you inevitably have to talk about yourself. Truthfully, I have no idea if this book could serve as a guidebook or introduction to help those hoping to write novels. What I mean is, I'm the kind of person with a very individual way of thinking, and I don't know how far you can generalize about or apply my way of writing and living. I know hardly any other writers, so I don't know how they write, and I can't make comparisons. For me, this is the only way I can write, so that's how I do it. I'm certainly not advocating this as the best way to write novels. You might be able to apply some things in my methods, but others might not work so well. It goes without saying, but if you take 100 novelists, you'll find 100 different ways of writing novels. I hope that each of you grasps that and comes to your own conclusions about any applications. One thing I do want you to understand is that I am, when all is said and done, a very ordinary person. I do think I have some innate ability to write novels. If I didn't, I wouldn't have been able to write novels all these many years. But that aside, if I do say so myself, I'm the type of ordinary guy you'll find anywhere. Not the type to stand out when I stroll around town, the type who's always shown to the worst tables at restaurants. I doubt that if I didn't write novels, anyone would ever have noticed me. I would have just lived out an ordinary, nondescript life in a totally ordinary way. In my daily life, I'm hardly ever conscious of myself as writer. But since I do happen to have a bit of ability to write novels and have had some good luck on my side, plus a stubborn